Hi guys, I'm Crystal Sky, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Premeire by Nicole sketch markers that I got here. I got both of these 6 sets, so 12 markers for $20. Pretty cheap, but they were half off. Normally they're $20 each for a pack, which is kind of expensive for cheap rip-off Copic markers. So let's take a look at the body first. This is the pastel set. Now I happen to have the pastel set in Copics, so we're going to take a look at that. This is just the Chow set though, not the actual sketch markers. And I have the portrait set because I draw a lot of people, so that's nice there. Okay. So I swatched all these markers out already on render sketch paper, so if you guys have seen this before, this is render paper. So this is how they look. They look very different going down than when they dry. I think it is pretty accurate once it's dry, but again, once it goes down, it takes forever to look like that. It takes a while to dry. We just set these portraits aside. Oh, I forgot a pastel. So this is the pastel set of Copic markers, Copic Chow markers, and this is the pastel set of this Premeire brand. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so about the same. We've got a purple, which is V2, and this is lilac color, so this is V04, and this is V2 periwinkle, so kind of similar there. We've got like a seafoam green here, which is seafoam, and this is Mignote YG11. So we're matching colors up here. We've got a blush color, which is blush color. I actually ended up with 2 of these because there's one in the portrait set as well. And in Copics, this would be light pink, RV21. This is very similar to this one. This is ice blue in Premeire, and this is aqua, BG15 in Copic. And then we've got a yellow. This is a skin tone, and this is a yellow in this, so these are not dupes for this color. This is a buttercup yellow, and then citron, I believe. So again, not a dupe color. Messed them up. I'm trying to get them close. And this is phthalo blue, B23, and B4 denim. So very similar. So this is the swatches of the Premeires. Let's compare colors. Now you guys will be able to see that this has a brush nib. A fairly good brush nib, right? It's a hard brush nib. It's not like a Copic brush nib. We're going to put them right next to each other. You can see the color going down immediately is very different, right? So that is a very different color right away. This is the Premeire and this is the Copic. Let's do the blue. These are very, very hard brush tips. I'm pushing down really hard and they're not moving really. Very tough brush tips. The Copic tip is much smoother, much more flexible, much more like a brush tip. It's kind of like, the brush tips on here are kind of like hard edges, kind of like these. I don't remember what these are called. These nibs. It feels kind of like those nibs when you lay them down. Can you guys see that? Yeah. I'm just gonna lay the colors next to each other so we know kind of what we're getting. So hoping this would be a nice dupe for Copics, but there's a couple of problems right away. They're not refillable. I didn't see any refills in the store, but I go to a liquidation center, so there could have been refills and they just didn't have any. We're just gonna lay some color around here. This is a blending kind of thing going on that I did in the car on the way home because I'm just a weirdo like that. Immediately you can tell the difference in the color. But this isn't bad. This is more pink. So the Premeire is always on the top, and it's a lot less vibrant, you can tell. And almost everyone how less vibrant they are. What the nib. Those are very similar. Wow, those ones are very similar. But again, it's a different color when it dries. So we got the last one here. And of course I've got more colors, so we'll do those in a little bit. Wow, this is actually darker. Huh. Okay. So let me move some of these over so you guys can actually see how the swatch is. So Premeire Copic on that one. Wow. Can't really see it in the camera, but this is darker. This Copic one. Anyway, we're going to let them all dry. As you can see, they're coming into their color as they dry. This just kind of happens on render paper. So let's talk about the body differences. This in particular is a chow, and I actually think these feel like, I do have sketch markers here. So we'll do kind of like a comparison with the body of the marker. These feel very much like chow markers. They have the same kind of ridges except a little bit bigger so that they don't roll as the chow markers do. And they cap very much like a chow marker, in my opinion. They feel very much like a chow marker. They're very light as well. The Copic sketch markers, and they're called sketch, which is pretty funny. But the sketch markers feel very different to hold in the hand. They just feel very different to hold in the hand. Much better, much more physical, almost. And of course, all of the brush nibs on even the sketch and the chow are much squishier than the sketch markers here, the Premeire sketch markers. All in all, the body feels fine. It's a little bit bulky to be round, but all in all, it feels fine. So the body is fine. Definitely no complaints there. Let's talk about the ink. So as you guys can see with the colors, they're much duller than the bright colors of the Copic sketch. Let's do another comparison. This is like a sandy color, and I have two colors in my sketch markers. I actually have three colors in my sketch markers that could be very similar. So let's take a look at these color comparisons really quick. So this is in the portrait set. Just gonna do the sand up top again. That nib actually feels a little bit looser than all the rest of them that I've tried. It's kind of dark. We'll try this one. This is very well loved, this sketch marker. It's one of my favorite colors. You can see right away that it laid down completely different. We'll just add a whole couple of them. Here. See which one lays. This one lays down very similar, the color. And then we'll let them dry and see what they look like. Okay. So we've laid them down all side by side, right? Wait a second for them to dry. Let's do, we're gonna do just a blendables with them. Let's do, down here in the corner, we'll just do like a skin tone type of blend. So the sand is probably a shade color in my opinion. We're just gonna do like the outer face. I feel like that would be a shade color, but it kind of dried not like a shade color. You guys know what I mean? So we'll add the blush. You can't even see it. Can't even see it. Let's try it the other way around. No, the pink is the blush is too pink. This is like supposed to be a skin tone set. The set I have over here. I guess it's a darker skin tone set, which is fine. I'm just not used to working with it. So let's take a look. This is hazelnut. It's much darker. Let's try this for the base color for skin. Oh yeah, that'll work great. Okay, so we're gonna do a darker skin tone. I actually don't think I have a darker skin set in Copic because I just don't do it. I don't draw that often. But let's do, so this is we'll do a darker skin tone with some shading with the hazelnut. Right? So we're going to try and blend them together and see what we get. Right? So we're going back and forth. Alright. Going back and forth there. Do one more. On the render paper, it really lays down fine. Feels fine to lay down. Feels good. Alright, we'll just wait for that to dry. So this is the set here. I'm not really quite sure why this is a portrait set, but I mean, I don't hate it. I like the colors. Darker skin sets are always nice to have. So that seems to be this original here. This was between a green and a blue in the pastel set, and it seems to have not blended nicely, even though I did go over it just the same as I did here, but this seemed to have blended fairly well. As you can see here, the skin tones blend right into each other. It looks like a nice gradient. It looks fine. There's a little bit of a streak here, but again, it's still not fully dry. So it does look fairly nice for a darker chocolatey skin tone. This turned out pretty nice as well, actually. The peach kind of fades in. Doesn't look that bad, in my opinion. Okay, so let's compare it now to a... I don't have the same type of skin tones. Let's do one of these. Let's do the green and the blue and the copics. Again, these are comparable to these up here. These colors, but again, they're much brighter. As you can see, the copic color is much brighter than the premeire color. Except for the blue. The blue is darker in the copic. But I'm sure copic has a nice color that matches that. I'm sure. Now these colors don't really match too well. They match better in the premeire set. Now that I'm looking at it. That's cool, right? Copics are cool that they can really do that with anything. That's just what makes them so cool. Alright, so we let that dry. So all in all, so far, I'd say the premeire is great for the price I got them, $10. The nibs are much stiffer, but they don't feel bad. But if you want to do like brush work, like calligraphy, you'd probably have issues. You'd probably want to go with the copics more. But again, these are super high-end, and these are really cheap, so not bad, right? They dry pretty much cap size. They dry pretty much the same as what they lay down on the cap. Right? Let's try a different one. Let's try this blue. Yeah, they dry pretty identical to what you're getting on the cap, which is pretty good. The cap is not as far off as they usually are. They blend fairly well. Look at this blend. This nice gradient. It does look really good. They take a while to change to the correct color when they are put down, but when they dry, they change nicely. This skin tone is actually different from all of these skin tones. They all look different. Wow. Alright. So that's a thing. Now I'm gonna do a little doodle, and I'm gonna do one with the copics and one with the sketch markers. So I'm gonna try and match the colors in the art that I'm doing. I'm just gonna be doing a little chibi crystal, and we'll see how that turns out. Alrighty guys, so we got the two doodles here, so we're gonna color. Let me actually just fold this. This render paper, I've put like a million coats on my render sketchbooks and they've never gone through. This render paper went through a little bit. Very unusual. Anyway, we're gonna go in here. I have two sketches that are similar. They're of the same character, my Chrissy Skies for my comic. So we're gonna do one in the copics and one in the sketch markers. Just gonna do these here, I guess. Since my character is this kind of skin tone, we'll do this kind of skin tone. Guess I'll do this in the premeire. This is very yellow. This isn't really a skin tone. But I'm only going to be using the pastel set. So. Ooh, okay. So this nib's actually starting to fray a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see, just on the tip. I've used it a swatch and just a little bit, so that's not good. My Copics are still not frayed. I mean, they're softer, but still not frayed. Using about the same pressure. I color the same way every time. I'm going to be lining at the end, which is how I tend to do it with when I'm regularly using these types of markers. We're actually, let's do like a multicolored type of hair. I'm gonna do like a kind of let's add some blush in there, not with that color. And we're gonna add multicolor here. Let's see. I do it with the Copics first, just because I'm not quite sure what I want to do, and I don't want to ruin the sketch marker's chances by doing the doing them first and then not knowing what I'm doing. I want to do fairly the same thing. My hair is brown, and in the comic it's brown, but just something fun since we only have pastels. And the last test we're going to do after we're done with these little doodles is to see if they work together. So maybe you have some Copics and you want to see if they work together. We're going to be doing that test too. I always do that test with my markers because sometimes you have a couple of Copic markers and you want to use them with all your other markers to fill in the colors. And I think it's really important to know if you can do that. They're both alcohol based from what I can see. So I don't see why they won't blend, but we're going to have to take a look. If I say these markers aren't bleeding as much as the Copics do, markers bleed, the Copic markers bleed a little bit on the render paper. Mostly because it's not very absorbent. But these are not really, they're not really bleeding too much. The nibs are frayed though already. And again, I'm not being hard with them. I'm using them the same way I was the Copic markers. And the nib at the end is already kind of broken. Which, you know. Pack of 6 being $10. I was kind of expecting something to be wrong. It can't be perfect at that price. Again, the colors are very different. Even though they're kind of the same. They look the same on the cap. I'm going to try and go for the same type of ombre effect. It's not going to look as cool. Because the colors are kind of old lady colors. What I would call like old dried out colors. Colors my grandma would wear. My grandma would wear those colors, just saying. Let's go back in with the blush. Alrighty. So we've got those done. Now we've got some blues to do the outfit with. Now normally I would go in with a darker color for these shadows on these clothing, but I don't have darker colors, so we're just going to go with what I got. Maybe we'll actually use the other color. Yeah, that works. To get some shadow. Even though her skirt does not look denim, it's denim. Mainly because this color is denim. See if this color comes up on top of the other color. It doesn't. Does not come up on the other color like that one did. So that's a little minus there. Did not come up on top of the skirt to be able to shadow, because it's lighter in color, probably. Alright, let's get the other color in here. Alrighty, sorry about that. Got interrupted again. But anyway, we'll do a little bit of shadowing on the top, maybe. I don't know. Usually for chibi characters, I don't shadow, but get a little bit of shadow in here just to see the effect. Wow. That shadow's so much better with the Copic markers. Wow. Oh, hurt my nib a little bit. Oopsie. Over with the aqua. Alright, let me go over. Where are my... Here's one. This is just a Prismacolor Premeire B marker. Brush marker. Let me go in and line these. This is dry, and this is actually not dry yet. So we'll do the Premeire. This is a brush marker I'm not used to using. So I normally go all over with a marker, with a micron. So it's different from what I normally would use. Normally I would use a micron. This is a brush Premeire. So not as good. Definitely. Ooh. But again, it works. I've used it before, and it works just fine. Ooh. If my hand weren't shaking so profusely, you guys can see I've got a bad shake today. My bad. Okay, so we are done with this drawing. What do you guys think? Let me move it a little closer to the camera so you guys can see. The colors are definitely a lot less saturated with these markers. Now, let's do the final test down here. Let me make this straight. And we're gonna do a blend test from Copic marker to Premeire marker. My camera died, so it's been a couple of hours, so I'm a little... So let's try this pastel yellow to this pastel yellow. I just want to see if they can transition well enough. And then we'll try one color to the other, like colors that aren't the same. Let's try the Copic in the green and the Premeire in the blue, because they're kind of similar. I'm surprised how well those two colors blended together. Like I said, let's try the Copic in green. That's the Copic in green. And then the Premeire in blue. I'm blending out a little more than I usually would in like a tight space, but alright, as we wait for them to dry, let's take a look at this one. So the Copic's on top. Yeah, the Copic's on top and the Premeire is down below. I mean, it transitioned really well between the two colors here. I'm actually really surprised. Now this color here did not transition super well. I'm gonna reblend it really quick. See if we can get something a little bit less blotchy, because you can see there's like a line right there. Let's see if we can get, and it's not coming through on the back there. This did come through a little bit, but I checked and this was only the Premeire blending. This was not the Copic blending. So the Premeire markers are going through this render paper, which is a little odd. We'll wait for this to dry for a second. All in all, for the price that I got them half off. I don't think I would pay $20 for a pack like the pastels. But for $10, if you get them at an AC Moore, what is it called? I get it at where everything's half price. It's like a, I don't remember what it's called. I said at the beginning of the video. I'm sorry. It's been a little bit. But for $10 for a pack, these are definitely worth it. The nibs, like I said, the nibs are already starting to fray a little bit though. So that's a downside definitely, because my Copics, like, I use eggshell the most, and I can replace the nib on this. And I just replaced the nib on this, so it's like really nice now. This is my eggshell, my favorite color. And what I love about my Copics is how saturated and beautiful the colors are. And I can blend them out. So we're just going to do I want to do a kind of a comparison on how I can get the Copics to, that actually had a little bit of ink on it, probably from a pen that didn't dry correctly. So we're just going to go from one color to the other, right? This is usually how I blend skin. Just go from one color to the other. You guys can see, yeah? Make sure it's still wet once you're blending, because sometimes once it's dry it doesn't blend as well. But I mean, it still blends fantastic. It's a Copic marker. It's a really expensive Copic marker where you can replace. I didn't see any refills for these, so that's also a downside, but for $10 for a pack of 6, pretty good. I'd say pretty good. Let's see, so we got this. I'm taking them all. So this is for $10. Again, pretty good. I don't know how much ink's in them, but for $10 they're definitely worth it. So take a look at them at your local AC Moore. If you have maybe a store where everything's half off at AC Moore, go there. They don't accept coupons at this AC Moore because everything's already half off, so that's a downside. But for $10. Also, don't go with the double pack. There is a pack where you can buy 6 and 6. Don't go for that because it's half off, and it's actually cheaper to just buy 2 separate sets of 6 because it's $20 and it's $24 if you split the bigger pack in half. So definitely go with this. You get the same amount of markers for less price. Alright, so all in all, I mean, they did blend together. This is the Premeire, this is the Copic. They did blend together, but there's a little line here. As you can see, this is the way Copics blend. They just blend absolutely seamlessly. There's like no, it's almost a perfect gradient except right here, which I'm sure is my bad. So Copics are fantastic. These are, in comparison, very good for the price. I would definitely recommend them. They kind of remind me of my Blick markers. They're not absolute crap like the other markers I've reviewed, and they're pretty sizable in my opinion. They're nice to work with, and they blend with Copics. So thank you guys for sitting through this super long review. Like I said, for what I paid for them, which is $20 for all of these markers, would definitely recommend them. If you see them at that price, definitely pick them up. But again, I got them for half off. Don't know if they are worth $20. At that point, I would just save up for like a Copic Chow set. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.